All right, just to confirm for my listeners who I got on the phone here, it is the one and only Digga Bruck shot. Am I saying that right, sir?
Yes, you are.
Now, I often ask, is this MC Digga Bruck shot or is it just Digga Bruck shot? Like, what do you prefer?
I just go by Digga Bruck shot, really.
That's cool. Okay, so that's
The
what
MC thing was like, that's like putting, everybody kind of went off the putting DJ in front of their name,
Sure. Sorry, I got my other phone ringing in the background right now. I got to point it out to the listeners, and we won't be answering that,
No
but
problem.
it's stupid of me not to have that on silent, so sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, what was the last song you listened to before you spoke to me?
The last song that I listened to before I spoke to you?
Yeah.
Rude Boy Love Song off the Shy FX sound tape that just came out pretty recently.
Yeah, I actually am familiar. Is there anything that was maybe drum and bass related that you would have listened to? Maybe the latest Backstreet Boys album?
No, man, definitely not. But funny that you say that, actually, because this morning I was on YouTube, and I guess they have like YouTube Premium now, but like there's like a documentary on like NSYNC and Lou Pearlman and how he like fucked them out of money and shit. So I was watching that this morning, but yeah.
Isn't he the guy who made himself like a sixth member of the band or something? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that story. Okay, moving on. What was the first album you ever purchased with your own money?
The first album I ever purchased with my own money was probably... It was probably Michael Jackson, actually, but it wasn't an album. It was a single cassette.
Which was it, Thriller?
Back in the day. No, it was the Remember the Time single.
Okay. You know what else I thought of when you said Michael Jackson's single would be the Free Willy. Remember he did the song?
Yeah,
for
I was into Free Willy too, but I didn't have the sound. I didn't have the soundtrack.
Yeah. All right. What was the
I
first?
didn't have any money, probably.
Well, but that's what's cool about the question is you find out what you did with your first allowance money kind of thing, and it was grab a Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely probably Michael Jackson. Yeah.
What was the first concert you ever attended?
I think it was. Sorry, don't mind that.
No problem.
Reggaeton in the background. It may have been Foo Fighters, man.
You're not the first to say that.
Foo Fighters. It was Foo Fighters, and what was the band that Stone Temple Pilots had after, like, Scott Weiland first left the band?
Talk Show.
It was either that or something Velvet.
Oh, Velvet Revolver.
Yeah. Wasn't Velvet Revolver the band that he went to?
Yeah, I think so. I mixed up Velvet Revolver. But yes, it was.
It was just the band. It was just the band without him. So whatever the fuck that was.
I'm pretty sure they formed a band called Talk Show or Talk Shop or something. And
Sounds familiar.
Song called like Hello or whatever.
But I was a massive Nirvana fan. So like after the show, like I got to like get his autograph and shit on the ticket. It was sick. I was like Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I brought up Foo Fighters to a girl at my doctor's reception area. I said something about the Foo Fighters. She goes, "Who's that?" I said, "You don't know who the Foo Fighters are?" She goes, "No." I said, "Well, the drummer from Nirvana is the lead singer of the Foo Fighters." She went, "Who's Nirvana?" I went, "I'm done. I'm just done." I don't know what to say to that.
She doesn't know who Nirvana is. She's too young for you, bro.
That's it, I guess, eh? Well, and it dates me too. When that starts to happen, it's like, oh shit, I'm getting old. Still no children. My mortality is shining.
Nice, that's nice. You don't have kids or anything?
No, man, I'm not married, no children. My priorities were always different, and to be completely honest,
you're living the dream, dude.
Well, some people say it's got its pluses and its minuses, I guess.
Yeah.
I have freedom and I don't have nagging, but at the same time, I don't get to watch children blossom into those beautiful creatures that you fathers and mothers get to see.
That's true, yeah.
You know, so yeah, it has its pluses and minuses. All right, let's dive into some industry type questions. What was your first experience with the Rave?
My first experience with the Rave, at the Rave, was Bagley's in King's Cross, London. I actually spent a good part of my formative years living there. So when I first moved over there, I went to like a school on a military base, like a RAF base. And I met this chick, and she was like, "You got to come check this." Shout out to Maury Durbin. Yeah, I went to high school with her. So she was like, "You got to come check this out," you know. And yeah, man, she gave me a couple tapes before I went, and she brought me to like One Nation or something at Bagley's. I don't remember the exact event, but yeah, I remember just walking in and seeing MC Det on the mic, just like, holy shit, this is out of control, you know.
That was your first experience. So, holy shit.
Yeah, that was my first experience, man. So actually, it was United Dance. It wasn't One Nation. It was United Dance in the year 2000.
That's awesome. It's like, yeah, you started in the deep end.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, man, that was the moment. I still remember that moment, standing in the middle of the dance floor, just staring at that, just like in awe of what was happening, you know.
Well, it's interesting to me that you're pointing out MC Det, because I too, as an MC, am someone who's very attracted to MC Det, especially because of his voice, his presence. He's a beast of a man.
Yeah, he is.
So, would you say that MC Det was maybe who made you want to become an MC? Was it seeing him that made you inspired to want to be who you are today?
I wouldn't say necessarily just him, but, you know, I was already on the tapes, like, before I had even gone to an actual rave, probably for, like, a year or two. So I was already listening to tape backs and shit. So I was already into, like, Skibba and Shaba and IC3 and, like, all these other guys. But that always had, like, a different, like, thing for me, man. I just loved, like, his cadence style. There wasn't so much, like, rapid-fire lyrics. It was just, like, nice cadences and, like, you know, but obviously he can murk it with the lyrics as well. But yeah, something about that, man. I don't know. I just he's like, just the presence and just how he sounds on the mic. You know, just crazy. Like when you're in the rave and you're listening to that, like you feel that shit. You know what I mean?
Sure. So, and he looks like what he sounds like. That's
exactly, yeah. That's what makes it even better. Like if you weasel your way up to the front of the stage, you're like, holy shit, this is exactly what this guy should look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally with you.
Yeah.
You were using a term to describe his structuring called cadence. Do you want to dissect what you mean there? What is it that he does?
His cadence?
Yeah.
But just his cadence is like, how do I explain this? He just kind of, he'll bounce like a couple phrases, but he'll do them maybe one or two times, or maybe in 3 or 4 times, but say them in just a different tone, even maybe each time, or turn it into like a melody kind of.
Yeah.
But he's really just saying the same phrase. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like, I'm trying to think of some of his lyrics.
I'm thinking of a bunch of them right now, and I can't think of one where he's repetitive with it, but I can think of ones where he's structured his syllables in a way that it bounces. So it's not fast chat. It's like a clappity clap, like a it-it-a-ba-da-da.
Yeah, it's almost more like he's doing a hook, kind of.
Well, yeah, like when you say the hook, you know what I think of is firing, never tiring, I'm like providing, throw your hands in the air, show that you're a jungle fan. That rhyme?
Exactly, yeah.
Or the high, hit 'em low, hit 'em low.
Slow-mo quick flow, 2 times.
Oh yeah, that's the 2-time freestyle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But that was a hook, right? That was an actual hook.
Yeah, I guess just in my head, like those are so ingrained in my head. So whenever I think about them, I just always think those. So I just remember those like cadences, even from being a kid, just like, yeah. And you just knew them all, and you would say them all. You know, you listened to them in your headphones, and you knew all the lyrics and shit. It was, yeah, man.
Well, and were you always attracted to the MC and jungle because you came from an MC background? Like, were you into hip hop MCing before you got into?
No, I was never. I was pretty young when I moved to England, and I was into hip hop and shit, and like obviously I was into grunge. So it was like the grunge era, kind of like towards the end of it, and I'd always been into Nirvana and shit. But yeah, so and then actually I was like into punk and ska for a bit, and then once I got to England and I got introduced to drum and bass and like the whole rave culture there and the whole scene there, like I was going to Black Market Records every week, buying records, buying tickets to raves. Like I was in the game, you know, I was in the culture, like hard body, young, like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old doing all this shit, so um,
Well, when did you come back here then? So when did you move back? Because if I'm not mistaken, you live in New York now. Am I right in saying that?
I don't live in New York currently. I've been pretty much everywhere, man. So my dad was in the Navy, I was in the Navy, so I've moved around my entire life. So I don't really have an extended amount of time anywhere. But I moved back to the States in 2003.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and then like MySpace was huge then, so I started like trying to find drum and bass in America. So it was definitely like a culture shock for sure.
Well, yeah,
the rave culture like in North America is totally different than it is over there,
Fuck yeah.
And I didn't know anything about American rave culture because I got into it when I was over there. So coming back here, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Well, I don't know about the places you've been in America, but Canada, they used to say we were the second land to drum and bass back in 99, 2000.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember reading about it in like ATM magazine and shit, or Knowledge about Canada. When I was over there.
It's the truth, man. I lived it, and it's not what it was. Our scene.
Hey, man, when I was up in Montreal the other week or whatever the hell that was in March, I was like, damn, this is cracking in here, man.
It is. The vibe is unbelievable. It's just we don't get the numbers we used to. Right?
It was packed. That night was packed, and I think you guys are like, especially in Montreal at least, it's very like European style vibes. So, the younger kids are more into it, I think, for some reason. I don't know. Like in England, all the young kids are into it. Here, it just seems like I don't know what's happening.
Well, there's no all ages parties anymore. That's one of the problems. Like in Europe, I was just at a party where it was 15 plus. You know what I mean? Like that means kids.
Really?
Yeah, 15-year-olds were walking around in there.
That's crazy.
In the States, you got 21. Here in Canada, it's 19. And I actually say this to people recently where it was like, you can't get people to adapt to something new past the age of 19. Like, you got to get these kids at a young age when they're 13, 14. That's when you want to mold them into future junglers.
Exactly,
You're not going to do that throwing 19 plus or 21 plus parties.
No, definitely not 21 plus parties.
Well, and the thing is, you look around.
What's the drinking age up there?
19. In Quebec, it's 18. Yeah. Where you were in Montreal, it's 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, it's totally different life. Here is like so strict on that shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, we can smoke weed here too.
I know. Imagine that.
You know what? I don't know if you're probably not in touch with our politics, but they're passing a new bill in Ontario where you're going to be allowed to drink in public. They're actually extending drinking hours so you can buy alcohol at an earlier hour because here
really?
There's cutoff times. You used to be able to buy it at 11 a.m. Now it's going to be 9 a.m. And what's the other one? We have casinos with live tables now too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can go play blackjack or poker, whatever the fuck.
Nice. Yeah, you guys couldn't do that before?
We could play, there was Woodbine Racetrack had slots, so you could play virtual poker or virtual blackjack.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now you can go to the tables and actually play with people and stuff, right?
Is it because of the Native Americans?
That will
the Native Canadians.
Exactly, right? No,
I didn't want to say the wrong, whatever. I didn't want to say anything wrong.
Aboriginal people. Sure. We know what we call them here, the First Nations folk.
The OGs, I'll just call them that.
The OGs, exactly, that's it. But no, these are not on a reserve. These are on public land run by the government.
Okay.
No, they do have the ones that you're talking about on the reserve, but they're nowhere near the city, right? These are actually within our city limit. Like, you can take a bus to get to them. You don't have to drive an hour into the country. But anyways, moving back into the industry.
Sorry, man.
No, this is good. I hope people enjoy listening to our banter.
Yeah.
What changes would you say have you noticed from the day you started partying out in England to where we are today?
Just in drum and bass as a whole, or
the culture, the industry,
continentally.
Yeah, I'd say the
industry.
Yeah.
I would honestly say it's gotten more professional. I mean, if you're looking at it as an industry, in the UK it's an industry, in Europe it's an industry. It's not an industry in North America. Drum and bass doesn't really, unless you're maybe the 1% of dance music culture in America that actually lives off of it. You know, there's no industry in America where, you know, there's not labels here that are providing employment like Ram Records does in the UK or Hospital or, you know. So in that respect, if we're talking, you know, continentally, there's a big difference and a big gap. But drum and bass music as a whole, I think it's firing, man. I think the music that's coming out is great. I think for the most part, I mean, there's still a big interest in most cities in America for it, and Canada, obviously, and all over the world. So I don't know. I think it's in a very healthy place, man.
I think we're in a state of revitalization in Canada right now. I've been saying that it's like a resurgence that's occurring, and I like to see the growth.
Well, when the boys on the tour, World Drum Bass Tour, man, they did a bunch. They did almost half the tour in Canada, and they said that every day was firing, pretty much. So
that makes me
says
feel
a lot, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about World of Drum and Bass for a moment. I know you are involved with those guys. What is your involvement with the World of Drum and Bass?
My involvement with the World of Drum and Bass goes back probably, I mean, it's like probably like 11 years now. I've been not really, you know, I don't book all the cities or anything like that, but I work closely with SS as far as dealing with the artwork, you know, what the artwork should look like, approving artwork. I handle all the content online, and you know, I'm working on the website. You know, I do all kinds of like behind the scenes stuff like that with brand. And then there's Tasha, Tribe Steppers. He also does a lot of the artwork stuff as well. So between me and him and Leroy SS himself, we all kind of handle that, just to make sure it's spread around, you know. But then, of course, like as far as the tour goes, you know, every year I usually do Winter Music Conference with the tour. I'll do 5 or 6 dates or more every year on the tour, and then I co-promote the New York party as well. So just it's really just a friendship thing with me and SS, really. So, you know, we bounce ideas off each other as far as everything where it goes, and we talk pretty much every day. So that's really what it is. Well, nothing more, nothing less.
How did you meet him for the first time? Like, how did you get him?
My friend, I was working with Concrete Jungle, Virginia in Richmond for a while, and they were booking the tour, and they booked SS, Simon, Baseline Smith, and Skibbity. So it was a Monday night, like in Richmond, Virginia. I had never met these guys. Like at that time, like I was kind of like somewhat making some noise, and people were kind of finding out who I was and shit. And I'm older at this point, but I had never been able to touch these guys in the UK. You know what I mean? So it was like it gave me a different kind of access having them here. So we did this like party. There was literally like 3 people there, and so at that time he would hook some of the promoters up. If they were going to win a music conference, he'd be like, look, if you do a party in your city, I'll put you guys on the bill for Miami or whatever. So that year he put me and my friend on the bill there and in Miami, and then we did the Richmond party, obviously. I think we did DC as well, and that was in 2008. So that's how that connection kind of built. And then a couple of years went by, I did the Miami parties again, and I did the New York ones, and yeah, and we just became friends, man. I went over to his house like last summer, stayed at his house for a couple of weeks. Like, we're homies, so it's been fun, man. It's real cool. Like, I used to go watch this guy like DJ in London.
That's cool.
When I was like 16 years old, you know. So it's cool, man.
Yeah,
full circle vibes.
It's interesting. They say sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes, but when they're as nice as DJ SS is, it's a treat.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, I mean, he's the most like genuine, down to earth person I've ever met in this whole game. So
he is. Yeah. And you know what? I'll even say for my podcast, he was a guest on it, and he's vouched for me to the point where a couple of people who I don't think I could have gotten if it wasn't for him giving his thumbs up. So thank you, Mr. SS, if you're listening.
Yes, shout to SS.
All right, that leads me into just got a final few questions here for you. These are fun ones.
Okay.
If you could create a Mount Rushmore for jungle, who would your four faces be?
Mount Rushmore of jungle drum and bass, or
Yeah.
just the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay.
It could be a promoter, DJ,
the whole
producer.
thing.
Yeah.
I gotta go with. Damn, this is really difficult, man. Can I do duos as one?
That's interesting. You know what I'll give you? I'll give you a half face. So if it's a duo, they get half face each.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Fabio and Groove Rider.
Okay.
I gotta go with Goldie.
All right.
I gotta go with Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, man, I gotta go with Stevie Hyper D.
You know, I forgot we didn't bring him up when we were talking about all of our MCs earlier, and he's really the king of them all in my books. I can't imagine where he'd be at this level if he were alive today.
Yeah, I know, it'd be crazy.
And I don't know if, like, no offense to Skibba and all the other guys, but I don't know if they would be who they are if Stevie was around today. Not to take away, like I say, he was,
of course, yeah.
Just something special. But I got to point out that you did not put the man DJ SS, and I think he's going to be very ashamed if he listens that he was on your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I know, man. It's just I'm just thinking of it like strategically, like Fabio and Groove from like the Acid House days, and then they kind of birthed the shit, and so.
You know what? Here's the thing. If you want to say birth of stuff, could you not say maybe LTJ Bookham as well?
I mean, you only got 4 slots.
Yeah, that's right. I can't be holding your feet to the fire.
You could put underneath Fabio and Groove bullet points of like 17 guys, and then under each head you can put another So under Goldie I would put S. I'll put Frost, Brian G. Under Andy I would put High Contrast. I mean, there's just different sounds now as well. Drum and bass has so many different sounds and different styles now, so it's kind of, in order to try and represent the scheme and across the board. I
like that. You have your Andy, you got your Fabio Groove Rider, and you got your Stevie, and who was the last one that you had? Goldie. Yeah, so it is a spectrum of drum and bass. So I like that. All right, if you could put 5 items into a vault that would encapsulate our entire rave culture, what would those 5 items be?
1 pack of Rizla.
Okay.
1 clipper lighter.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume that you already have weed on you.
Out of all the drugs,
a whistle and a horn. They're connected on a lanyard, so they're one thing.
Okay.
Whistle and a horn. That's 3 things. A pair of Reebok Classics and a pair of Adidas track pants.
The ones with the white stripes down the side. How about are they tearaways?
No, not tearaways. Not at that time. I didn't wear tearaways. No, I just wore regular track pants to the raves.
All right, that's awesome. I like that you actually answered those questions in no time. Sometimes people are here like, "Oh my God, you put me on the spot." I'm like, no, who's gonna hold you to this? Like, you don't have to get it perfect, but.
Well, you got a vision into exactly what I think about rave culture just out of those answers.
I do. I have an exact vision of what you're thinking about when you think rave culture, and I love it.
Yeah.
All right, finally, I just want to ask you, where can people go to hear you? Like, if they want to hear, do you have new stuff coming out this year that maybe we could check out?
I actually do have some new stuff coming out this year, finally, man. I think I mentioned to you in the email, like I've really, probably the last 5 years, slacked really hard in studio stuff and even doing any mixes, but I'm working on a thing with the Burner Brothers from New York. I have a studio session with them on Thursday, and then SS actually sent me a little snippet of a work in progress with me and him. So I don't want to say too much about it because he said it's super DL, but but that's dope, and I'm really happy about that and excited about that. SoundCloud is there, obviously. Digga Buckshot, you can search that. There's definitely like a different array of stuff on there. I did an EP with this French group called Timbre Baton, and it's not drum and bass, so there's that. There's a couple different things on there. So yeah, SoundCloud, Instagram, at Digga Bruckshot, all that stuff is the same pretty much. Facebook and Twitter. So I don't mind that truck in the background.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, man. So
okay, and
all the usual channels, you know.
For everything he said there, I will have links down below. So if you want to listen to the man's sound, which I did listen to, it is interesting and unique. I like the flow, and I want to talk to you a little bit more. So I'm going to sign off to the listeners, but stay on the phone with me, okay?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
All right, that was
Thanks
him.
for having me, yeah?
Oh, of course.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having on. That was him, Digga Bruckshot. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, peace out.